Handle Your High with Tadayoshi. All right, welcome back to Handle Your High with me, Tadayoshi, and I have Cydney Gillon. Hey, Sid, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You got your cap on. It's like cold where you're at, I guess. Is it because it's cold where I'm at?
It's technically like 82 today, but I'm always cold. But this is the one day. It goes back to 50 tomorrow.
So what's the temperature? So what's the temperature like in Georgia there?
It was like 40-ish on Monday, goes up to 70-ish, and then now we're at 79, and it goes back down to the 40s by Saturday.
That sounds like it was like the kind of weather we had here in Chicago. Oh my gosh!
Exactly right.
It's been really funky. Like I've never experienced anything like this. We were in that Arctic weather. Like for one day, this was cool. For one day, it was like negative 30 degrees or something like that.
And, when I left the house,
I did. I went and worked out, but I was impressed because now I get to say on that one day I lived in the coldest place on Earth because there was no place colder. We were colder than Siberia. We were colder than Antarctica. But and I got to do that. Do you know what the Impimba effect is? No. So it's when you take some hot water and you throw it in the air and it like freezes how the water freezes. Oh. And I did that. I posted on social media. It was really awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So I made a little fun journey out of it. I would have liked to have done the bubbles. Like you'd blow bubbles and then bubbles actually freeze in midair.
Now that would have been really, really cool, yeah.
I saw some guy do it on Facebook. I was like, oh man, that looks fucking rad. I was like, I like science, but
Me too.
So what's going on? So now, by the way, congratulations again. You did awesome at the Olympia, and you've been really cooking it these last 2 years. Has this been a surprise for you?
I always had my eye on the prize. Since I was a little girl, I knew what I wanted to accomplish. Now, and with the quickness that it happened, I would say that's a little bit more shocking than I thought it was going to be. But once I started getting my foot in the door and really getting how I wanted to go through my preps and everything like that, once I got that set, I said, okay, it can happen a little bit faster. So I knew that I was on the right path instead of doing a lot of trial and error like I was before.
Now, who's your coach now?
My coach is Dameon now.
Okay. So when did you start working with him?
I started working with him after my second Olympia.
Okay. So your first Olympia was with somebody else?
No, with me.
Oh, just with you. That's with you.
Yeah, me and my mom. We were just winging it.
Well, that's all right.
Let's see what happens today.
That's all right. Well, I think I saw your mom at the Olympia, and you guys look a lot alike.
Yeah, that's my twin.
I was like, because it was not like a thing. I was like, man, is that her sister? But then when I got close to you, and I was like, okay, it's her mom.
Yeah, she gets that all the time.
Really?
She spit me out. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome. Now, what does she do? What does she do for a living?
Well, they do educational innovators, which is the name of their business, where they help kids get ready to go to college and do all the financial aid services and just basically navigating the application process and everything like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So now, last time we talked, well, it was a couple years ago about it, but you were in the midst of studying for something, I think, or something like that. You were transitioning a career, or what do you do? What are you doing now with everything?
Well, I just graduated from USC in December, so I walked in. Hence
the Trojan cap.
Yes. I walked in May, but I technically graduated in December. So basically, I'm just doing the transition from being a student and to trying to get into like regular life and just get used to not having something to do every single second of the day, which I actually prefer. I've grown to love it. That's just how I like to function, just be very busy. But just doing that transition into freelancing and doing public relations and everything like that.
So what was your degree in?
Strategic public relations.
So what does that mean?
So basically, I can do a lot of different things. Once I retire after freelancing, I plan to go into crisis communication. So basically, when the companies start fudging, I come in and help them reboot their reputation and their brand.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's sort of like damage control from a PR perspective.
Yes. So I could even go into politics. It just depends on which realm you want to go into. It can be consumer related. You can work for Johnson & Johnson, P&G. Basically, you work very hand in hand with the marketing and advertising team. So I may also end up working at an advertising firm.
Oh, okay. What is your personal interest? What's in your mind? What do you think? Okay, long term. Because it sounds like you could almost be a lobbyist too.
That's exactly what it could happen. I won't never say never, but
I'll tell you one thing: they get paid good.
Yes, that is very, very true. That's very, very true. But once I graduated, I thought that I wanted to go into sports and entertainment public relations, but after fulfilling my specialty, I'm kind of like, it was enough for me. So I want to go more into just corporate communications.
What excites you the most about the corporate communications part? Just curious.
I think it's because originally I was going back to school. First was med school, then I was going to go to my MBA.
That's right. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right. So when I mix in corporate communication, it mixes in the MBA aspect and then the public relations aspect all into one. So it's like artsy and not artsy at the same time. So it just mixes it all together.
So you get a little. I think I get it. That's cool. That's very cool. So So now you're transitioning. Are you working for somebody? Are you looking for jobs, or what do you?
Well, I'm freelancing for a while. So basically, any projects I want to pick up, I just want to really get my resume stacked, and that way I can go into whatever corporation I want to go into, not at the entry level, because that little measly salary is not going to work for me.
When it comes to especially at marketing and advertising in corporate America, you start off so low, such menial stuff, and I hate to say that, but I get it. People have to work their way through whatever they have to work their way through, but to gain experience. But are you able to leverage any of the stuff that you've done in the fitness industry, maybe some of the companies or people that you've met or worked with? Could you do that?
I potentially could. I'm definitely working more on. Because there's different aspects of PR. Most of the time we're behind the scenes doing the production aspect, but my teachers, my professors, and they're all like public relations professionals for 20 years. So they're all like that I could be the one person who'd be able to do in front of the camera and behind the scenes. So I can go more so into not necessarily corporate communication in terms of the behind the scenes, but it'd be more so being a spokeswoman or that's the main thing. That would be the most fun for me, just to be in front of the camera and just represent the brand versus actually having to do the work behind it. That would be cool. Talk for it.
Well, you need and you could probably tell me if I'm right, but it seems to me that a lot of the credibility of companies come from the spokesperson, how well they come across and what image they present, and that's really important, especially for public relations, obviously, right?
Yes, very much so.
So I'm just curious. So this is just because I've never talked to anybody who got a degree in these kinds of things. So so that's why I'm so interested. What kind of coursework did you take, and what was the most interesting coursework that you took that revolved around this kind of PR kind of stuff?
I would say my business class was my favorite. It was the most intense, but it mixed a lot of aspects of my life all together, which I really liked. I learned a lot about investor relations. We went over everything business and how it relates to PR and how we can basically boost our income by knowing how businesses actually function versus just being artsy. We have the artsy, but we also know how the finances work. So it kind of
so you're marrying the
grounded
two
it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That was my favorite classes. We've done content creation from editing videos, producing videos, films, spokeswoman training, advertising and marketing does get thrown in there. We did pretty much everything. Any skill that you need and to do PR, we did it.
Oh, wow. I have always said that if I was able to go and have another career, I would probably go to LA Film School. I would make movies. Totally. I personally I'm the guy that throws Oscar parties and shit at my house. I keep track of who does the score and what directors did this. I just like it because I really believe that movies are our modern day mythology. It's how we tell our story. As a matter of fact, I just saw, I don't know if you like movies or not, but I just saw Glass. And
okay, I haven't seen it yet.
I love M. Night Shyamalan because he takes this art so seriously. Some people don't appreciate some of his movies because they're kind of different, in some ways. But he's got that Alfred Hitchcockian kind of a style to him where he throws a twist at the end, and I really dig that. I really dig it, and so I would love. That's what I would if I could do another career. That would be what I would do. Go ahead.
The way that you're talking about movies, you could be an entertainment publicist. There is a specific job in my field where we pitch the movies. So the Oscar people who are voting on the movies, it's our job to make sure they see the movie, be in front of the movie, set up screenings, everything like that to make sure, and you can make 6 figures on that. You work 6 months out the year.
Oh, wow.
And that's it. and your main job is to get your movie nominated and ideally to win.
A couple years ago, I had a client in LA who, when I was living in California, she, wonderful lady, Kinley, and her father was a famous director. And he, like, I forget which big movies and stuff that he did. I can't remember, but he died, of course, but he was part of the Academy. And they would send all the movies that were going out to be like nominated for Best Picture, Best whatever. Yep. They sent him the DVDs before anybody else, they were released, right? These were brand new movies, and she would speed me these movies. She's like, you got to give them back to me, because I just wanted to watch them, right? Like, because these were movies that were at the movie theater right now, like, right? So I was like watching at home. I'm watching like all these cool movies. You know? I'm like, I would totally love to do that.
See, you might need to pick up PR.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, switching gears a little bit, what are some other exciting stuff that's going on for you these days right now?
Well, the main thing is just really just that transition and just really getting settled back home, because I just moved back from LA. So that move in itself is just an adjustment, because once you get used to living in LA,
it's different there.
It's very different. Yeah. And then you come back to the South where you actually have to have manners. It's really nice.
I like that you said that.
Yeah. And so, like, now you're surrounded by people who say thank you. And except the people who moved here. That's neither here nor there. But for all of us who are born and raised here, we have manners and home training, and it's great.
You know, that's kind of funny, because my mom, so my mother and my aunt, my mother's sister, my grandparents, their parents were from the South, from Arkansas, and my grandmother and my mother, or my aunt and my mother, both went to finishing school and like walk with books on their heads and stuff like that. So when I grew up, man, there were a couple things that were just no joke, like please, thank you, my hands in my lap when I ate, all my table manners, all that stuff was really important. And I didn't understand why, but now as an adult, I go out and I'm like, man, you guys are ratchet, man. Nobody teach you guys how to fucking eat at a table?
Exactly.
But to each his own. But I will say this, I do appreciate two places I really love going. I love going to Tennessee, and I love going to Georgia, specifically the Atlanta area. I've never been too many other places other than Atlanta, so I guess you
don't need to go anywhere else.
But what I like I'll tell you what I like the most, and I fell in love with Nashville as well. I would move there. I would move there in a heartbeat. Okay, the people in the South are just so nice. It resonates so deeply with me. Because I naturally want to be nice to everybody. I don't have any, and so when I interact with people, especially the ladies and even the guys too, but especially the ladies, and I resonate deeply with the feminine side because I was raised by all women. I didn't have a fun. So I kind of like, when I went out there, I was like, man, I would move here in a heartbeat. I'm like, weather's pretty good, I guess. Compared to here, I don't know how I made my way here. I don't know how. Most places, I've lived so many places. Where have you lived? You lived in California, and
Philly. I lived in West Philly for 4 years for undergrad.
Okay.
That was an adjustment as well, but I grew to love it. And then LA and Phoenix. I lived in Cambodia for a couple months.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's about it. The living, yeah.
So where was it? So what's the most interesting story you have about any of those places that you lived? Just get curious.
People seem to love my Lyft stories from LA. I have a lot of Lyft stories.
Why? Are they crazy?
Crazy. The people because people in LA are already an intricate breed in themselves. They're very, very interesting types of people. Lots of different variety of craziness. So when you do Lyft, if you do a shared Lyft,
man,
I was a student, so I was trying to keep my budget together. I was like, a $3 ride versus a $10 ride. I'm taking $3, but you end up riding with strangers.
Right. You get to know some interesting people.
Yeah, you get your money's worth. I've had Lyft drivers cussing people out on the phone, cussing passengers out.
Damn.
It's just a lot of stories that are just. Yeah, I'd rather not ever relive them. I'm glad to be past my Lyft days, but it was just a lot.
I know every time when the rideshare became really popular several years ago, I started using it because I was used to taking taxis and stuff, and I hated taking taxis because every time I get into a taxi, I felt like this dude doesn't want to drive me nowhere. He doesn't care. He don't want to talk. But when I do the Lyft, I never take a shared Lyft because I've never tried that. I'm like, it's not that I just never tried it. But I did take, but when I do lift, I always get these interesting lift drivers. I get a chance to talk to them. I've only probably had one that was like kind of, and I've had lots of it. I just seem to find myself in these situations where, I leave it up to the universe. I say, and when I get in there, I just start talking, and I don't know, they probably think I'm fucking strange. But I always have these interesting stories. I always find these interesting people. That's what I like most about ride shares these days, is that you get people that actually want to give you a ride.
Yeah.
At least it feels that way.
Right.
What about, I'm interested, Cambodia? I never would have thought you'd have been to Cambodia.
Well, it was because I was on Survivor. So we had to live there for a very, very long time. Well, it seems like a long time when you're not eating any food. So
tell me about that. What was that about?
It was after my first Arnold. So I literally got off stage. A week later, I was in Cambodia, starving again. I was just like,
damn.
Escalated quickly. But yeah, it was amazing. It was really, really hot. I love the people, though. We didn't see them. I didn't see the majority of the people until the show was over. If you got eliminated sooner than I did, then you saw a lot of people. You were able to go out about and see everything. So I didn't really see much, but it was nice living there. I love the weather. I love waking up on the beach, and it was nice.
I didn't know you were on that show. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was that? What was that like?
It was amazing. I would always go back, but I can't go back until my career is done with bodybuilding, because I ended up losing 26 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I was a little string bean. I came back. My mom was like, "Oh my God," because I had to do Chicago Pro to qualify for the Olympia that year. And she was like, "You have 7 weeks." And I was like, "Well, I'm going to just lift heavy as possible, eat all the food, and hope for the best."
I never understood why anybody would want to go on some of these shows where they just torture themselves. I get it. It looks like it's kind of, some piece of it is kind of fun. But the show that puzzles me is that Naked and Afraid. I'm like,
yes.
what are you talking? Like, what? That's just, I don't know. It just seems like you're just really begging for like viewers or something. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I would never go on that one.
No.
I like the challenges and the fun aspect and the strategical aspect of Survivor. That's the most fun part.
Is it hard?
Yes.
It's hard?
Yes. It wasn't as hard of a transition for me because I'm naturally a survivor. So like I can figure out what I need to do, and I also know how to. I ended up in public relations because of the show.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. And it's because of my intro, my essays, they were like, "Well, how did you even stumble across this?" And I was like, "Well, I almost won a show." And I was like, it was based off of a whole bunch of random people from a whole bunch of different backgrounds that knew nothing about me, but it was how you interact with all different kinds of people and make them believe the message that you're giving out. So it ended up being like PR 101. And I was like, hey, it's something I ended up being good at, but it was great experience.
Nice. That's pretty cool. That's pretty. Maybe I did hear that, but it didn't stick out in my head. But then again, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, you got to watch the season. It was fun. It was a lot of drama.
You'll have to. It's probably on YouTube, I imagine, right?
It's on Hulu now.
Oh, okay. You'll have to send me a link or something, or I'll definitely check it out because I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it's season 32.
Season 30. Okay. I'm gonna mark that down. Season 32.
Yeah.
So now. This last, what was, I have to ask, like, it seems like your physique has improved quite a bit in the last couple of years. Did you do anything different? Like, what was your focus this last year? Just out of curiosity.
My coach just believes in like an overall package. So we wanted everything just to be better. Like, literally, we're so OCD that we're like perfectionists to the point of like, we're like yin and yang. We're like, all right, something can always be better. We're like, we're going to fix something. Whether it's training a body part more than the other or dieting longer, we just, whatever needs to happen, we make it happen. So I think for this it was just about overall being better. We wanted to come in full, but we wanted to still be lean. For me, I was focused on my hamstrings. So I always wanted hamstrings. I always had the shape of the hammy, but it was never any detail. And I was like, God, why me? So I was determined, like I think it was the last 3 weeks going into it. Like because you could see him when I worked out, we would always see him moving. We knew they were there, but for some reason, like the way I was posing, they weren't coming out. So that was our main focus too those last couple of weeks. And then once we finally saw a glimpse, I was like, I think I got it. And we started screaming. And then so now that's all she wrote. But that was the last little finishing touch that I wanted personally, because it just brings the physique together when like you get that nice little bit of definition in the hamstring after. Because I had the glutes, but I wanted everything under the glutes to just like pop too.
Now, it's kind of funny because your physique, I don't think now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you're naturally like a really super muscular kind of a physique. It's very linear, it's a very nice shape, but it's very linear from the, especially your legs and stuff. But you've put on really wonderful muscle and you've developed it really nicely, and so that it fits together. Everything fits together really beautifully, and then you're very polished. Your presence and your presentation is very polished, and that really sets you apart in many ways on stage. And so I think for a lot of ladies, I don't know if a lot of figure ladies, you talk to them if you give them hope or not. But I tell them, like, look, you're a good example of someone who could build a championship physique, a world-class championship from really I won't say from ground zero, but we all start from somewhere ground zero.
Yes.
But you don't have to be born with this natural sort of like this natural shape, this natural muscularity. You can actually build this thing.
Yes.
You can actually have a vision. Now when you first started, because I remember talking to you before, and I think it was you when you started in figure, did you have a vision for what you wanted to create?
No.
Okay.
I just knew, I was like, put on some muscle. That was it.
And don't I remember? If I remember correctly, was it some of your family that competed also, or something?
Yeah, both my parents compete.
Okay,
they still compete. My mom, last time she competed was last year. She did Masters Nationals last year.
Nice. How'd she do?
She placed, I think, towards the end of the pack, but she was just really trying to get back on stage. It was her first year back after she had taken maybe like a 2-year break, so it was her first year back, and she was trying to get everything together. And yeah, so it was good for her to just get back on stage.
Where's your focus? Where's your focus right now? In your training. In your training, where's your focus in your training right now and everything?
Just overall coming better than the whole.
Okay.
Every time I show up, something needs to be different.
Now you're not going to compete at the Arnold. You're
yes, I am.
Oh, you are. Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't look at the list completely. I think it's a fairly long list. I think there's 20, 30 girls, right?
No, it's
I can't
14.
remember. Oh, really? Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe I'm thinking of the.
Maybe you're because classic men's physique and women's physique, their lists are.
Okay, yeah. I briefly looked at it. I probably should look at it since I'm reporting on it. But so you're definitely the favorite then. Absolutely, definitely the favorite. What are you? Is there anything different that you're doing for this prep as opposed to the Olympia this last year?
I mean, the same mentality is always do better, do more work harder, push harder, just be better. And so if you take those steps every single day, you're bound to have a different package on stage. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what I look like until I get on stage. That's pretty much that always happens. I'm like, oh, that looks nice. Like it'll be after the show until I know. But I mean, it's gonna be. I think the main difference for me is I'm getting older. So as I get older, the muscle maturity does give a different look, which I'm loving. So that's going to be really cool to see what it looks like on stage, because I've been training for over 13 years now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it looks as the years go by and the training keeps going. So
when you I work with so many athletes, and when it comes to prepping for shows and when it comes to just developing their physique or even just clients losing body fat, a lot of them have the biggest challenges that I see as a coach, and I've seen this for, I've been coaching for almost 30 years. The biggest challenge I see most people have is mindset. It's where their mind is at. And what is your mindset like? You have such a wonderful temperament. I've always loved talking to you. You have a beautiful smile, and you're always warm, and you're always sincere. But you have to have those challenging moments. We all do, right? And what's the hardest for you, and how do you deal with that?
Mine, I had a lot of practice being a collegiate runner, but even before college, I think my base really came from my track coaches in high school, because most of the time that's when I was tried the most in terms of like educationally, life-wise, just training with bodybuilding. I had a lot going on. And just my track coach from those years, he was very, very hard on me. I've never had a coach as hard on me as he is, but he ended up turning me into the woman I am today. So literally I can handle everything I can handle because of him. Oh, wow. So like whether it's moments where he would curse me out he's one of those coaches who just likes to curse all the time. There was never a practice in the 2 years that we were together that he did not call my name. So like it'd be instances where like, cause he knew I could be better, but I wasn't pushing myself. And so once he saw that, like he would get irate if he saw me like just like pussyfooting around. He was like, okay, come on, Sid, what are you doing? So he would cuss me out. but I never remember this day. This is one of the main turning points. Like literally, I would just sit in the locker room and cry before every practice because his practices were that intense. Like I had practice anxiety. Like it was bad, and I was just like, why am I doing this to myself? Why? But that's when I developed my mentality of never quitting, because I said every day, I said to myself, as soon as you run 400, which I hate that race, I hate it with a passion. As soon as you run one, you cannot quit, because then that energy would have been wasted.
Okay.
So that turned me into this now, like, because I had to have something to push from back then, because I was like, why am I doing this? Just why? But and then the main turning point, so like that was my base, and so I was like, you can't quit. And it was one day, it was raining outside. I was dead tired. I just missed my time. He was like, well, and I knew what was coming. And I just started crying. As soon as I crossed the finish line, I was like, I just missed it. I missed it, because they're calling out. And he was like, all right. This is how he talked to me. All right. Well, when you suck them tears up, get the fuck back on the line. That's literally how he talked to me. And I was like,
you're like, okay.
And I did, and I made the time. But it was him who he shaped me into being able to handle the workload I can handle. Like there's no coach after that has ever given me that workload to be able to hold it and see what it gave me at the end of it. So that was been the main takeaway from that one. But he set me up to be where I am now, because once I made it through that, I said, oh shit, I can make it do anything. Like,
isn't that funny?
I was scared. I was legitimately scared. I was petrified every day.
So training for like the Olympia is nothing then compared to that.
It's much more peaceful. I don't get cussed out. That's it. But it definitely it changed me for the better, I will say. I definitely appreciate him for being so hard on me, because it does make a different athlete when you go through. That's only one of the stories. The amount of work, like I was tortured. I was just like, oh. It would be to the point where like it would be like the last week of prep every day. That's what the feeling would be.
Oh,
like
damn.
I'd be that tired every day. Like, and I was a child. I was literally 14, 15, dead tired. Like there was no energy left in me. So, but it worked out.
It sounds like you draw on some of those experiences today.
Yes. Because that created my foundation. And so that's why I can always go back to those moments where I made it through those instances.
Well, now, what would you tell somebody now who's having a rough prep? They think it's tough, man. I don't got the time. I got all these excuses why they can't. They got all these excuses why they can't do this, they can't achieve this. What would you tell them? Because this is the stuff I struggle with. I said, look, because I really try to impress that this is all about your mindset, your approach, your perspective. And they don't realize that they haven't had these tough experiences like you had to really make you realize that you are tougher than you think.
Yes. Yes. I think for people who come off the gate with excuses, I always ask them, like, do you want to compete? You don't have to compete. It's not for everybody. So just don't. If your first instinct is to be like, I can't do A, B, and C because of A, B, and C, you don't want to compete. Because if you wanted to, you do it. Right. No matter what.
That's right.
And I think it takes seeing people and having people be out there doing what they're claiming they can't do. So whether it's the fit moms or the people with injuries or the people going to school, there are people who have already done that and performed at high levels. So that means you can do it too. You just got to want to do it.
I think a lot of people think that you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of people think that that in their mind, we always see ourselves as this exceptional case. Like, but my life is different.
Right,
I have these kids and I have this job. I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I do realize that people do have, from their perspective, it's rough.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think they realize that you are tougher than you think.
Yes.
And you can do more than you think. But if you don't believe you can, forget it. You're done.
That's exactly right. And that's why when I meet a lot of people, I always tell them the key is focusing on yourself. You can't focus on what the next person is doing, how long they're in the gym, what's happening, A, B, C. That has nothing to do with you, because you're not going to change anything that's going on over there. So focus on yourself, bring your best you, and get on stage. People make it bigger than it should be. Just keep it right here. Look in here. If you lose, figure out why you lost. Don't look outside for why you lost. What did you do inside?
That is such good advice. I mean, I hope a lot of other competitors are listening to that piece, because man, the notion of self-comparison, to other people is just, and then it defeats them before they even get there.
Yes.
And it's like, man, like, and it also stymies you from getting better, like you said, because it's like, oh my God, like I can't, like, how did you come to that perspective?
I think, well, it came back to track because I noticed it was really big in college because I was a big fish in a little pond in high school. Then when you get to college and everybody's fast, the tides change. It's like, okay, this escalated quickly. But when that happened, I had to take a step back and be like, well, why are you running in the first place? And I was like, yeah, you may not be the fastest person anymore, but you love this sport. So you're going to go out and bust ass every day. You may be the slowest person on your track team or close to the slowest person because everybody's fast as hell. But what are you going to do? Because you love the sport, so you're still going to compete. So you just try your best, show up every day, and show out for what you can do. And then let your PR speak for themselves and find those records within yourself. And so track helped me the most with that because one is it's kind of a life or death situation because I was a hurdler. So if you focus on anybody else, you're gonna bust your ass. That's the key to where I learned the blinders, because if you don't have blinders, you're gonna run the pace of somebody else's race. You don't run their race. So this is your race.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So then I took that and translated over into my regular life because my coach was like, why are you running like her? That's not how you run. So I had to remember, okay, stay in your lane, focus on what you're doing, and look straight ahead. And so that literally, track is life. I always say that track is life. That is one sport that translates over to everything, and that's helped me so much. How do you
now in figure and bodybuilding, in the sport of bodybuilding, how do you stay in your lane? Because you're you're obviously competing against some other ladies on stage, and I believe the other lady was a track and field athlete too, who was close to you this last Olympia, and great physiques, wonderful physique, but. Like, what modality or what tools do you use to stay, like, because it'd be hard to look over and go, wow, because I'm sure you look at some of the physiques and appreciate some of the things and go, because, I mean, gosh, how could you not, right? So how do you stay in your lane with all that going on?
I definitely appreciate physiques, but I also don't look at them going into shows. Because that has nothing to do with me.
Oh, exactly.
It's like I'm not magic and I'm more important to the next person. So, like, especially because I noticed that people, they're scroll on Instagram. I'm like, that's not helping you. That's not going to help you. And neither are those filters that they're putting on their pictures. So keep that in mind.
That's not reality.
It's not reality. And so I think I don't look on Instagram. I don't look outside of myself. And that's the key thing, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be my own motivation. I don't need external motivation. And so I know that what I want to be, and I know what I can create. And I think that also the key thing is knowing that I'm me. I'm not somebody else. So I'm going to create my physique. I'm not ever going to look like the next person. I'm going to look like me. Because even if you go through, like me, Candace, and Latoya, we have similar physiques, but they're not alike. Right. If you really look at it, we're not alike. We have very different pieces that are very different. And so that's the part that I always drew on. And I was like, well, I'm me. Make my best pieces my best pieces. And that's all I can do. And hope for the best. It's out of my hands at that point.
You know, that is a very, that approach, that attitude, that perspective about you focusing on just you, and that is such wisdom. I really do hope, because man, if some of my competitors could just hear that from somebody who's achieving, because man, that is hard for people. We have this, we want to compare not only just in the sport, but also in our life, our looks, how much money we make, what things we have. It's like, we're really not in competition with anybody.
Exactly.
It's like we're just out. I really firmly believe that when you let go of that stuff, then it's easier to achieve your own greatness and your own brand of greatness. And because now you're free, because I think you hinted on it, that when you are looking at somebody else, you're running their race. They're the leader, you're the follower. You are not leading now.
That's exactly right. You're distracted.
Exactly. So the only way to achieve is to be totally focused, like you said, totally focused on you, on where you're going and what you're doing. Did these lessons come from your first coach, or did you kind of acquire them along the way?
I would say he taught me my mental toughness.
Okay.
When it came to learning how to finesse my situations and learning what worked best for me in terms of competition, I learned that along the way. Definitely learned that along the way through trial and error. Like, so looking into other people's races, looking A, B, C, and D, everywhere else but where I need to be looking. I learned my lessons that way. And then after a while, I just got comfortable just focusing on myself. But I've never been one to really, outside of the track, just in regular life, I'm never one to really compare, because I don't, this sounds bad. I don't care. Like,
No.
That has nothing to do with me. I don't care. Like,
Well, you know what? I think I posted a thing on this on Instagram a while back. It was a little pictorial, and whoops.
Oh, there you go.
It said that comparison is the thief of joy, and it's also the thief of victory most of the time. So, it's like, while we have to be compared, like you said, not my job to do that. My job is to be the best I can be. It's like, and that's in my way. I love that is just such good wisdom. I try to relay this to my athletes over the years, because I fell victim of the same crap when I was competing for many years. And by the time I realized some of it, my competitive career, I was already reaching the end of it. I didn't want to compete anymore. But now I try to give this wisdom to them, and I hope many of them are listening to it, because wow, that's to have that kind of, and I know you think you're getting old, but you're not that old, and so to have this kind of wisdom, it's to me, it's a hallmark of a champion. It's the reason why it's a big reason why you are where you are, and I think I really hope that people listen to that piece of it, because that's so important, not just in competition, but in life in general. And I think I don't know about you, but I sense lately, in the last probably 10, 15 years, especially 10 years, that our culture is evolving in some ways, probably a lot due to social media, in good ways and bad ways. But in some of the good ways, I only focus on the good stuff. You know me, I only focus. So some of the good ways is that some of these great ideas like this, some of these great things are really able to reach so many more people.
Right.
And so people are hearing these things, and I see it. Like, I'm big on mindfulness, meditation, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I don't know if you do or not.
Same, yes, I do.
So
every day.
I meditate every day, at least once, usually sometimes twice. I do, and I do a lot of interpersonal development. Looking inside. What do you do? Yeah, what kind of things do you do?
I do my meditation as well. People think that meditation is just sitting down and crossing your legs. Like, they don't realize, like, you can be mindful in every single thing that you do, and there's different types of meditations that you just have to make them fit your life. So whether that's while you're eating a meal, whether that's while you're walking down the street, whether you're doing your cardio, there's times when you can say, hey, am I here in this moment?
In this now, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. People they laugh when I say I don't talk while I'm eating, because I'm meditating. Like, let me taste the flavors that I'm doing. So every time I'm eating, I'm in the present. Like, I love my food, yes.
Oh, man.
But I'm in the present, because I'm knowing exactly what tastes like what. That's why I can tell that there's too much salt, or I sprinkled a little bit too much in here, or there's a little too much onion powder. I can tell, because I know what I feel like every time I have that experience. And so if you eat 6 meals a day, you've already meditated six times that day.
That's right. Absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
That's what I do.
I like that, man. I just love your approach. I wish so many other people, because it's taken me a lifetime to come to a lot of these things. I think I've always been a joyful person and a positive person, but now I'm focused on a lot of mindfulness techniques the last 6 or so years, and it's changed my life. Absolutely, but absolutely. And if I wish, well, I guess I can't say I wish, because I'm so happy where I'm at. So I'm so glad to see. But this is the kind of stuff that I see coming up, having an impact on the younger generation, coming up, and more people, even people there are more and more people, they're doing studies on meditation and how it affects the brain. And I'm just like, the second thing I would do if I was going to go back to school today, I would go and I would probably do research on meditation and how it affects the brain and brain plasticity and how we create with this. Because I'm a believer, as everybody knows who knows me, energy, and we're all just energy.
Yes.
And look, if we need to control our vibration, and how we do that is through what we feel, and how we do that is by what we think about.
Yep.
And it's like, so I'm all about controlling my thoughts, all about managing my thoughts.
Same.
So and I know that it produces success. It produces change. So it sounds like I'm so glad that you talk about this so freely, because some people think it's like you said, some people think it's like a spiritual thing, and in some ways,
whatever you want to call it,
exactly.
you need to do it.
Yeah.
People don't understand, but the thing is, they'll be like, "Oh, that's too spiritual for me," or "That's something I can't do." But do you want to get better? Because clearly, what you're doing right now isn't working.
Right.
So why not try something else that's actually going to benefit you? And the funny thing is, because before I went on Survivor, I had to have a heart test. And so,
like a cardiac, like a cardiac.
Yeah. So I had to have an echo test because I have an enlarged heart because my heart. Well, most athletes
from sprinting, probably from being a sprinter.
Mm-hmm. And so, but my doctor failed to mention that before he just told me my heart was enlarged. I was like, wait, what?
You're like, what? I got a heart problem?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love a lot.
Oh no, it's common. I'm like, okay, thanks. Start with that. Lead with that. But so I went for a stress test because they couldn't really read my my graph. And so, like, you get on this treadmill, they get your heart rate up as high as possible. And so once you get off the treadmill, they ask you, they're like, take your heart rate. And so she was like, okay, I want to take a couple of breaths and see how long it takes you to mellow out, to basically for your heart rate to drop.
Go back down to resting rate.
Kid you not. 2 breaths. And without resting.
That's awesome.
Like, God, I've never seen anything like this. She was like, huh? I was like, yoga. Because I can slow my heart rate in a second. If I feel like I'm getting anxious, take a deep breath. Like you go through a breathing exercise.
Yep.
All of these things work, especially people who get stressed before stage. These breathing exercises are going to help you relax.
I was telling you, I just did some Instagram live stuff and talking about breathing techniques. I tell my clients this. I think my clients go, okay, yeah, Ted. I'm like, look, stop. I tell them to set their alarm. 3 times a day, I want you to stop for 1 minute and take deep breaths. I said, because you need to manage your stress. You need to lower all these hormones. I said, these things are destructive to your recovery. They're destructive to your life. And more importantly, if you're not back to center, you got to bring yourself back to center to be able to be a creator. If you're not, you're being a responder.
Yep.
And you're responding to life, and you can't create when you're responding. So we are conscious creators. We consciously evolve, and it's important to be in control of that at every second as much as we can. So you are such an enlightened individual. You have such a wonderful perspective. It's hard for me to. I guess I do so much teaching of it that it's rare that I come across someone who actually is employing this and they're seeing the success from it. And all. What's the most? When did you come to some of these techniques? Did your mom bring it to you, or did you just learn about it somewhere else?
Well, I found that when I was younger, I wouldn't say I had anger problems, but I was more angry. So it would be like I was a very quick snapper. Like I had no filter. So if something stupid, I would just
That's dumb.
Very quickly. And so as I got older, I said, my mom was like, you're gonna need to figure this out because in order to make it through life, you're gonna need to have a little more tact. And so I said, okay, what's going to help me?
That was told. I think that was told to me in college.
Let's see, look. So mine was like, I think it was through elementary school, middle school, and then once I was about to go to college, I met this lady, my first yoga teacher named Miss Kamiko, and she brought me in.
She was Japanese.
Well, no. She's black.
Okay, because Kamiko is a Japanese.
Might have Japanese.
Well, I'm just responding to the name. Kamiko is a Japanese.
Right. Was she named? Well, shoot. Well, I don't know. She's black to me. So. But she swept me under her wing, and that was right before I left before undergrad. And then, so I've been practicing yoga at this point for probably about 10 years now. And I think that learning how to be present, that started then. At first, it started just as a workout. And then after a while, I started noticing the changes in how I handle situations. And on top of like maturing and going through life, I noticed a difference from yoga. So I can notice even to this day, if I don't do yoga or if I don't meditate, it's not going to be good. Like it'll come back in a heartbeat.
I notice it if I don't meditate, if I skip one day, it's okay. If I skip 2 days, I might, but I can feel it too. I can feel like I get a little more, I'll be a little more sharp, a little more edgy. And it's like, I don't like that. When I start feeling that, I'm like, whoa, Tad, that's not you, bro. That's not you. I don't like it. I don't like feeling, I always want to feel joyful. I always want to feel good. I recognize my negative emotion. I recognize it. I try to do it. I don't know about you, but my process is when I experience it, I immediately in my mind, I step back and I just want to observe. And then when I do that, then I could go, okay, then I say to myself, Tad, return back to center.
Yes.
And then then I can make a good decision.
Yes, the key is recognizing it. It's not pushing it away. You got to see it, be aware that it happened, and then move on.
Yeah, in the beginning, I wanted to fight it. I'm like, what the fuck is this all about? No. There's so much of our biology there. Actually, I'm reading this really great book called The Laws of Human Nature by...
let me write that down.
It just came out.
Okay.
His name's Robert Greene. I don't know if you know Robert Greene. He's been New York bestseller. He wrote 46 Laws of War or something like that. He counsels like all these dignitaries and all these top people in the world. But he wrote with this book. It's really almost like a textbook. I mean, you're gonna really like it because I love it, and I'm only a fifth of the way through it. It's kind of a thick book, about 500 pages.
Good. The bigger the better, because I can keep me entertained for the rest of this prep.
You're gonna fall in love with it. I know it. But you should start this. He talks about how to evaluate people and how all these subtle that most of our communication is nonverbal. It's like 90-something%. And that what people say, that most people, that we've gotten this habit as humans to disregard the physical cues that people give off about what they're, and only listen to their voice. And like people can tell you anything. And it's not that they mean to deceive you. Not intentionally. They don't mean by ill means. They mean to tell you what they intend. They mean to tell you what the best picture of them. They mean to tell you all these things, but it's not really necessarily who they really are.
Right.
And so it's really fascinating. So I would be interested to hear your input when you read it, because I'm reading this going, oh my God, I'm sitting there psychoanalyzing myself and like looking at other. He talks about some of these behaviors that we. And he uses very concrete examples in history with people and things. So you'll really enjoy it. I'd really like to get your opinion. But to me, human nature, this goes right hand in hand, like mindfulness and behavior. I've been a big study of human nature and behavior specifically because of my career. I have to work with behavior. And people, the biggest problem that I find that people have when what they identify is they want to change a behavior, but they can't. They try, but they can't. I'm like, because for me, I don't know about you, but for me, when I started bodybuilding at 15, it was a radical change in my lifestyle, but I flipped it like a dime. I was like, because I had such strong desire.
Same.
So I was like, nope, this is it, man. And my brother, my identical twin brother, he's exactly the same way as me. When he wants to do something, when we decide, then it's like I tell my clients, I said, look, this is the metaphor I use. I say, look, it's like flicking a switch.
Yep, okay? That's exactly right.
It's like you just got to turn the switch on. When the switch is on, you have to also set the parameters when you know you're going to decide to turn it off. So like when I started prep, they're like, why don't you cheat on your preps? I never cheated on a prep. The first one I did. First one, I had Hershey bar, and I said to myself, I'm never going to fucking do that again. But I said, I call it flicking the switch. I turn the switch on. When the switch is on, I tell myself in my head, nothing except barring death is going to stop me from deviating from my plan. Until that switch goes off. And they're like, oh, well, what if this happens? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So you have to set those rules. You know, and I can honestly say that I never did. I never deviated from my plans. Some of my plans were not always perfect, but I didn't deviate from what I planned. And that was the point. And so I learned that's the only way to learn, right? The only way to truly learn how to do this stuff. What kind of strategy do you use in a prep?
That's exactly the same strategy. I'm a planner to the T. Once I get set, I'm set. That's it. And so I think for me is like I'm on a year-round plan. So I never deviate. I don't. For the last 3 years, I think last 2 years, last solid 2 years, it's been on a plan year-round. So whether there's a show or not, as soon as I get off stage, so I'm on a plan.
You don't give do you give it any time to like cheat and stuff like that?
Oh, I have cheat meals every week.
Okay, good. So
that's another reason. Like it's literally legitimately a lifestyle. So I literally get off stage. I'll have my cheat meal that night, clean it back up, and then I'll do like a 2-day cheat only. It has to be right after a show, and then I'll be back on a plan till the next show rolls around. So basically, like 4 days out the year, I eat whatever, and then during the week, everything is clean. But that works the best for me. But in terms of like planning, like once the plan is set, the plan is set. So it's funny that you said there was one time it was a show I wasn't going to be able to do. This was before I entered the NPC. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this show, but then there's a scheduling conflict. As soon as the conflict was like mitigated, I said, oh, I'm doing the show. Kid you not. 30 days later, I was on stage. I had literally not been on a diet the whole time. I was like, oh, I got 30 days since I can do it now. I'm going. And so I switched that. But even, you got to just want it, because it was a day, I think my boyfriend had just gotten into an accident. It was before the Arnold, maybe like 2 years ago. And I sat by him with the ambulance and everything. It was a really, really bad accident. And
hope he was okay.
Yeah, he's okay. After I made sure he was okay, got him home. We went to the hospital, got him home, everything.
Right.
I took myself right onto that gym at 12 o'clock at night. And I know, and I don't work out at nighttime like that. 12 a.m. I'm in there by myself, finishing my workout, because the workout is my workout. Nothing
Hey,
or no one would have turned me from my goals.
I did the same thing, man. I remember being in the gym at 1 o'clock in the morning because I was like, no, I'm not going to skip this crap. This is not going to, I'm not going to don't skip my cardio. I don't skip my workouts. And I remember when I was in college and when I was after that, when I dated, I remember I would tell my girlfriend, look, this is what you signed up for.
Yep.
I do not make concessions with my meal planning and my workouts. I said, look, it does not mean I do not love you. It means that but I love myself more. Mm-hmm. I was like, I have to.
That's exactly right. And that's what my boyfriend, he competes too, thankfully. So I don't have to explain as much. But literally, I told him, as soon as I go back to Phoenix, I said, listen, 2-minute phone calls only. I love you. I'll talk to you in 3 weeks. Okay? But nothing will change. I said, but I can't have my energies. You're not going to enter my positivity bubble. If you're in a bad mood, you keep that shit to yourself.
That's right.
Okay?
Hey, man,
I don't want to deal with it.
I have had this conversation with my significant other about I said, look, man, I do not want to engage in discussions that don't make me feel good. I will.
Yeah, it's that simple.
It's really like, you want me to wallow in misery with you? Is that what you want? Because it's not really helpful for anybody. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. As a matter of fact, it just makes it worse.
Exactly.
And so I totally, that resonates with me completely. Because it's, like I said, like, that's why I named this show Handle Your High, because to me that represents that we each, it's our responsibility to manage our own emotions, our own feelings.
Yes.
It's like, it's not my job to manage yours. Even if you made it, I couldn't. I can't dance a good enough dance to make you feel good all the time. Maybe sometimes. And so it's a losing battle. It's like going into a war that you know you're going to lose.
Exactly.
So, but most people play that game and they wonder why they get divorced. They wonder why they're upset. They wonder why they hate each other after. It's like, but you loved each other in the beginning. It's because you weren't focused on the stuff you didn't like.
Exactly.
You let that dominate your experience after a while, and so it's kind of funny that you say that, because I rarely meet people that actually get this, truly get this. It's like, it makes life so much easier, so much simpler, and everybody's happier.
Yes.
Everybody's happier.
I'm very straightforward. Like, listen, hey, nope. As I told you, I literally had this conversation the other day. I said, baby, I understand that you had a bad day, okay? I need a smile. Give me a smile when you walk in the door. I don't want to see nothing but teeth for these next 3 weeks. I don't care. Fake it till you make it. But what you want to know is, if you're having a bad day, we don't need to speak. Just say, I'm not having a good day. Great. Okay. I'll talk to you in 3 weeks. Like, that's it. It's that simple. You understand or you don't.
I think a lot of people really want someone to just sort of wallow around with them, and I get it.
Yeah, no.
I get it. Yeah, it doesn't really work too good. I'm like, no, because I'm really a firm believer in momentum in this universe.
Yes.
That when you give your energy to something, it builds momentum, man. Like, so why would I want to give it to like something that's bad? That's frustrating. That makes me angry. That's like, I keep that stuff out of my life, man. Like, I didn't always. There were years back where, luckily for me, I was so focused on the stuff I was excited about that most people who met me, mostly they say, "Oh, you're so positive. You're so much energy." I'm like, because I was only focused, and then they would also follow that up with, "You're so selfish." It's like, I'm like, what? Aren't we all?
Right.
Like, aren't we supposed to be? Like, if I'm not focused on me, are you going to be?
Exactly.
It's not, I would never ask that of anybody. I would never ask them, no, because it's not their job. You've got a hard enough job focusing on you.
Exactly.
But when we could come together and we could be happy and we could add value to each other, man, then it's the good stuff, right?
Yep, exactly.
That's a good. It took me a lot of reading, a lot of introspection, a lot of meditation to come to all this stuff. So how did you come? Did you grow up in an atmosphere that encouraged like this kind of behavior, this kind of? That's a no.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's been a lot of trial and error through my younger days. I know I'm still young, but I've been dating for a very long time. I think my instances with that have taught me a lot, and they have also shaped me into the woman I am today, thankfully.
Yes, me too.
But yeah, so all those trial and errors, lots of error, lots and lots and lots of error.
But isn't that how we ask for more? Isn't that how we ask for something better? It's like, yeah, man, I know I don't like that.
You have to go through the bad to know what good is.
So these days, I say, whenever I experience something that I don't like, in my mind, the first thing I think of, I say, thank you.
Yes.
Even before I know how it's going to be positive for me, I say, thank you. I get in the habit of gratitude. Even if I don't feel like it, I'm like, oh, no, Tad. Just because you don't know how this is going to be positive for you, doesn't mean you can't be thankful. I'm thankful because when I went through my divorce a couple years ago, I did not know how that was going to be positive. Okay, when it first hit, but man, today it's not that I love her very much, but man, I'm so thankful because man, did it push me to become so much more powerful of a positive person, of a loving person, of a joyful person that I am today. And I'm like, man, if I was still in that situation, if I had forced that situation to be different, then I would probably be miserable right now, at least in that aspect of my life. Or I'd be like, no, we got to go. I'm like, so it's funny that you say so. Yeah, I definitely believe that the contrast of our life, all those it's what gives us all the good stuff. Like when I was talking to one of my clients the other day about this, we're talking about becoming better and being a champion. I said, look, every champion knows. Everybody who's really achieved something great out there knows that it's their losses and their challenges that gave them everything. Like, it's not when you won. When you won, you did it right. You learned nothing. It is who you are. But most champions want to be better. They want to be something more. Yep. And the only way to become more is to be poked and prodded and told, get the fuck back on the line.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It's a hard one to toe because a lot of people they don't. It's natural, I think, for people to want to just have it handed to them. Like yeah, but that's no fun.
It's no fun, and I think it also ties back to their upbringing. Everybody in my culture, we've never had anything handed to us, so it's kind of like you got to work, buddy. Yeah. Like you pop out the womb knowing, like that's our speech out the gate. You got to be 2 times better from A, B, C, and D to get anywhere. And so that's how I was raised. So I'm always like, all right, gotta go harder. Next thing, what's next? What's next?
You have a double whammy, not only being black but also being a woman, and so you do have to be better, and you have to be better in a way that is non-offensive, and that's and that's hard because men aren't held to that same standard.
That's exactly right. But as soon as you find the art to it, it's a nice balance where you don't want to compromise yourself, but you got to find that balance where you're able to go through society. You got to be able to navigate society, but you want to make sure you're still yourself at the same time. So when you find that nice balance where you can just kind of just get where you need to go, you're good to go. Because now I'm there. It took me a long time to get there. Because it's like, I don't want to do A, B, C, and D, but trial and error.
Oh, just
a lot of no's. Yeah, a lot of no's will tell you how you need to change what the image should be in order to get to where you need to go. And so it was one movie, so it's not a great movie. I love the movie. It's called Players Club.
I like Players Club. What are you kidding me?
You like Players Club? You don't know what it was? Okay.
No, I know that. On my Instagram today, I was just listening to some Guy. I don't know if you know, like the group. There was an old '90s R&B band, like Guy, and like it just like grooved me, and Teddy's Jam. All these songs I really like. Because I like Teddy Riley and all these guys. And I think Teddy's Jam was in that movie. In the soundtrack of that movie. So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so the main quote is literally my favorite movie as a little girl. Clearly you can tell what I was watching. Right. Okay. But it was like, make the money, don't let the money make you. So when I heard that, I translated that into play the game, don't let the game play you. So if you're aware that you're automatically in a game out the gate, you navigate. Don't take anything personally. You just navigate. Play the game. And get what you need from the game. That's how you know. That's what I do.
I like that. That's a good perspective. Did you have a challenging childhood then? Was it challenging or was it pretty comfortable?
Being a black woman in the South is, it is what it is. Right. Especially because the schools I went to, my mom made sure I went to the best schools in Georgia. The best schools in Georgia tend to have predominantly white students. So navigating being a person of color in those arenas and dealing with students who aren't used to black people who want to excel, that was a challenge in itself. So you had to fight the system in all teams of the world of word. For instance, like even in elementary school, I just lost a tooth or something, so I couldn't say like my S's and my R's. And so they tried to put me in special ed classes.
What? Because you had because you lost your tooth.
And so, but could you imagine if my parents weren't there? My mom was like, what? And so, but it took that time it took my parents being able to be there to say, hey, this one of 4 black people in your school is not going to be put in special ed because she can't say a word the way you think it should be said.
They were perception is projection. It's like they're just projecting what they perceive. And
funniest thing a couple months later, they were testing me for challenge. I said, so how did that work? I was just special, but now I could be in the challenge classes. But it's funny how it worked. But literally instances like that, the little microaggressions happen every single day. You just learn to navigate.
Oh, wow. Well, like when my brother and I, we went to Montessori school. And when we were like 5 or something, and it was like sort of a preschool kind of thing. And I remember they tested everybody. And so my brother and I, because we're identical twins, we didn't want to interact with anybody else. I wasn't used to that. We were just used to interacting with each other, and we were very comfortable with each other. And we slept in the same room, all that kind of stuff. And they didn't like this, so they wanted to separate us. So when they separated us at 4 years old, we just didn't interact. And so, because we were scared. I remember that school. We would cry when she left us there, and we would cry until she got back. And they told my mother after they tested us, I'm shit you not. They said, your sons will be good at nothing. They said, now my brother is a professor at University of Washington. He just got a dean position at Arizona State. He's actually got couple Book of the Year awards in rhetoric and composition. I mean, he's really top of the field. I've done very well in my life. I went to graduate school. Look, so they were obviously wrong. And actually, by the way, I did have my IQ tested because they said that we didn't have, or intellectually we weren't there. I've had my IQ tested and I tested out at 157. So it's like, but the point is that they didn't want, because we weren't fitting into their box.
Yes.
They said, no, you guys, we need to have some special classes or whatever they wanted. And I did. They actually, when I was in elementary school or something, I did go to a reading as fundamental courses because I was slow reading because I couldn't see. My mother they didn't identify that I needed glasses. And I had tubes in my ears before. I didn't have them yet, but I had fluid built in my ears, so I couldn't hear that well. And so I was mispronouncing words. Kind of funny you say that because I was doing the same thing and I couldn't see. So naturally, I thought, I'm not kidding you, I thought the teachers just gave good grades to people that they liked. Because I was like, man, I'm trying like everybody else. And I was getting like C's and D's and it was a struggle. And then one of my teachers, luckily enough, noticed that. She's like, can you see the board, Tad? Because I'm in the back going like this, and I would sit in the back because I was embarrassed, and so she got my mother to get me tested, and then we got glasses and stuff. Kind of funny because my best teacher, and I don't even remember her name, but she was a big rotund black lady, and she was my math teacher in 6th grade. Yeah, she was my first A I ever got because I got in that class, and she said, "All right, Dad, I know you can do better than this." She's like, "You're gonna come after school every day, and we're gonna do your homework together." And after I did that every day, and everybody was scared to take her class because in Las Vegas, I went to a 6th grade center. So in the North Las Vegas where I lived, which is a predominantly black area, then I moved to East Las Vegas. Before that, I was in North Las Vegas, I went to West Las Vegas. So we went, it was kind of a trailer park. It was a trailer park. So it was kind of a poor area, but we were bused into a 6th grade center because the poor areas were complaining that their kids had to be bused into the white areas. So they made 6th grade centers. For when you got to 6th grade, you went to the 6th grade center. So everybody was bused in. So she was from there, and so she was kind of a rough around the edges kind of a woman. So everyone was scared to take her class. They said, "Oh, she's really tough and she's really hard on you." And I'm like, "Oh man, I got this. I got her." And then she kept me after class, but I got my first A in her class. And I'll tell you, all she did was she gave me the confidence. I said, I remember consciously telling this to myself, if I can get an A in her class, I can get an A in any class. And after that, I consistently got A's or B until I got in high school, I got A's. And then in college, I got A's. And then in graduate school, I got nothing but A's. So it was like, and it was really fun. That was a turning point in my classroom career. And it was all based on one person, just like your coach. Yep. One person who had faith in me and believed in me. And I feel bad because I don't even remember her name. I wish I could because I would love to write a letter or go something and give it to her and tell her thank you. because she had such a deep impact on my life, and all she did was teach me math.
Yep, that's funny. It's my same math teacher, my third grade math teacher, Ms. Bishop Harkness. Remember, we're Facebook friends. That's how I know. But she was a stickler. She did not play games. Like, she would run us a speed test, everything. But she made sure, and then she was friends with my friend. She was Mexican, Jeannie. So that's when I can tell that she cared about people of color. So she made sure that we were learning at the same pace as everybody else. Like, she was on us, like rice. Like, she was on us. But it's funny that I think back now, and I'm like, God, she really had my back. But from that day on, I was on it. Like, I was on it. But she, like you said, you take that one person to give that confidence. Hopefully it happens earlier the better. Like, my parents, of course, they were my base. But in the moment, you kind of need somebody who's in that arena to give you that base too. Like, your parents are your parents,
right?
Like, they're gonna support you. You kind of need somebody like to be like, okay, yeah, you're doing this right.
Yeah, because you get to a certain age and you think, well, my mom, they're supposed to love me. It's like, it's like my mom only thinks good things about me, but when somebody else does too, it's like, it's kind of a confirmation.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, hey man, well, she thinks I'm special. Like, I think I must be able to do this. It's so important. That's why I try to be encouraging to everybody. And people say, oh, you think I can do that? I said, absolutely, you can do it, but you got to believe it first. You have to believe it. You have to believe it. That's an energy that it's not by proof. I ask two questions. I've said this many times. I ask two questions of everybody that I work with, the athletes, that is. I say, are you positive, and do you believe in yourself? And the answer is almost always yes and yes. But the real answer is almost always no and no.
Right.
And I don't. You can't get these answers wrong. But the real answers are that people intend to be positive, and that's good. That's good. They just need to learn modalities in their life to be able to do that, and learn how to be aware, like you said, be aware when these things are happening. But most people believe in themselves only as far as life presents them with positive things. Until life presents them a challenge where they don't quite meet up to their expectations, then they're like, oh, I must not be able to do it, or oh, that's too hard. Oh my God. If everybody said that, we would never have any innovation. We'd never have anything. It's like, I think it's this. I remember I read this really cool biography of Michael Jordan. And something about, he was talking about some newscaster asked him, hey, how come you've got such high, consistent, great game point averages? How do you do this all the time? And he says, well, you only remember the ones I make. He's like, I throw the ball at the hoop more than anybody else, and that's why I do it. And that's why I'm there. And so, for me, the takeaway was, he's failed more times than he succeeds.
Yep.
And so it's like, but we only remember his successes. And that goes true for everybody. It's like, so, and I think it's our failures that really define our character. How we respond to it.
Absolutely.
How have you combated it? Because, I mean, granted, you've been pretty successful in your competitive career, but I'm sure there are points that you felt really deeply challenged. What was that, and how did you sort of negotiate that?
I think I view challenges a little bit differently. I think because I was so challenged early on in life that nothing that has happened recently, I don't look at it as a challenge. I look at it as a test. So like, it was one quote I saw. It was like, I don't know if you used the word challenge, but it was like, things happen in order to test you to see if you're the person you claim to be. So when you get you're tested, I think it's a lot of different tests. So if I lose, or if I don't have a certain look that I want at a certain time, it's all in the test of how you're going to handle that. And so that's why I get my practice daily of how I'm handling situations. So like, even when I also move on very quickly. I don't dwell on things.
Good for you.
So like, even when I got I think it was the second time I got second last year, I stayed into myself. I said, so what did I not do? That's step number one. That ain't got nothing to do with anybody else. What did I not do? Because it's not my coach. My coach is my coach. He's on his point. What did I not do? That's one. Two, okay, what's the next show? Three, what's the game plan for the next show?
Okay, good.
So you take the loss or whatever the test was, notice it. All right, next, and move on to the next thing. But I do that same thing with wins as well. So like, as soon as I won the Olympia, I was like, all right, so what's my meal plan for next week? Let's get ready for the Arnold. So like, but you got to move on, whether it's a win or a loss, because that I think that in itself tells you what kind of athlete you want to be. And if you're complacent, I don't believe in complacency. I don't believe in arrogance. I don't believe in anybody thinking that you're entitled to get A, B, C, or D. Like, no, you need to work and you need to continue to work. And so that's that type of athlete I always plan to be and I always will be. So nothing's ever going to be handed to me. I know the same way I wanted that first Olympia win and the second one and however else I plan to complete, I need to be working every single day, not every here and there, every single day for that next goal. Once I accomplish that next goal, I drop that one. All right, that was great. Move on to the next thing. But that's the only way I feel like you can just keep building and not getting complacent. If you feel like you always have somewhere to go, then you'll go. But if you think you're good to go, you're just going to sit there looking the same and being bored.
It's kind of the philosophy that sort of is said out there about winning. They say that constant winning can create complacency. But only for certain athletes, only for certain people and certain athletes, because this kind of mindset that you're talking about does not breed complacency, because you're asking these vital questions instead of just saying, good job, Sid, good job, I'm doing good, let's keep doing it. That's okay too, that's okay, but it doesn't really encourage you to say, like you said, what did I not do? What do we need to do next? And and I think that's important. But my real question is, why do you do all that you do? Why do you push yourself so hard? Because for me, all of my competitive career and all my career goals started out, they're not that way today, but they started out because I had very low self-esteem. I needed to validate myself. I thought that I needed to do this so I could prove to myself, prove to the world how good I was. I knew I was good on the inside, but man, I needed to prove it. And now I know I don't need to prove shit. It's like, I am what I am. I am good. And so all I need now is just enjoy my ride. But what about, what pushes you? Why do you do what you do?
I'm a perfectionist. And I also am a very strong type A personality. So if I feel like anything can be better, I'm going for it. And I know, and the thing is, I know that age will help me be better. So I just got to keep competing. That's just how I look at it. So whether that's age in itself, no matter if I keep the exact same training style, my body will shift because of that simple reason. So that's the way I look at it. And I'm going to keep on waiting to see what the next look will be. And I'm going to just keep on working and doing the same things and making these muscle fibers as dense as they can be to create another look. And just each and every year, how does she do it? Because I'm working. And I'm never going to stop. My foot is on the gas until I retire. That's it. I'm not there is no chill mode, no relaxing, none of that. I'm pushing.
When you look at your career in the fitness field and figure, do you see a timeline, or do you just say?
I always have a timeline.
Oh, really? So what's your give me a hint of what your timeline is.
This would be the main hint. I want to have kids by 34.
Okay, and how old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay, that's awesome. That's good. That's a nice time. That's good. That's right before AMA, advanced maternal age. 36 is advanced maternal age. So it's like 30. You're like, you don't want to be in that demographic where you.
That's exactly right.
How did I know? How did I know that you even thought of that?
I had a plan. Originally, the plan was to have kids by 27, and I was like, I started laughing. By the time I hit 24, I said, "Oh, that's not gonna happen. No, ma'am, not happening." And so I changed it.
But beyond that, you want to compete throughout the whole.
I'm competing all the way through there. I wouldn't say I retire, but I may take a break because I definitely want to have my kids see me on stage. Oh, okay. So whether I come back later on down the line, that's a possibility. And also give me something to do. I want to be that 50-year-old on stage, like, hey, I still got it, That's what I want to do.
I love it. You sound, as I talk to you about this, it really sounds like you're having a lot of fun with your. That's good, man. To me, that's the secret ingredient. I mean, I think you need a positive outlook in life in general to make it through life. Not just for athletes, but just to make it through life without feeling like you got beat the fuck up.
Right.
But also, it's like if you can't enjoy your presence now, man. That was something that I wish I would have heard in my 20s, because I was so focused on moving forward, and I was having some fun, but I was so focused that I oftentimes was I tell people this, that look, anxiety and depression are the things that we are most plagued with. When you go to doctors, they'll tell you 65% of the cases it's all about anxiety and depression. And that is about not being in your now. It's about not knowing who you are and not being in your now. Because anxiety is usually a focus on the future, assuming some negative outcome. And depression or sadness is usually a focus on the past and some regrets or some bad events that you're dwelling on. And this is all forward and backwards is not your now. And so you can't, when you're not in your now, you can't create. You can't create anything new. You either recreate the past or start creating what you're fearing in the future.
Right.
So for me, this is how I kind of keep myself. I wish I would have had that sensibility because, man, it would have made. I did so well, but I think I would have done so much better. What gave you that? What really was it? The yoga? Was it because you seem to have a really wonderful, mature, enlightened, evolved sensibility.
I think yoga started my path down mental awareness.
Okay.
I think so. That from yoga, that led to meditation, that led to my mindfulness, that led to just how I view everything. But I think it all started with, I've already done physical stuff, but I think mentally the shift started happening once I was doing yoga. Okay. And I started doing more research and finding out different methods and talking to other yogis and different teachers. I even had a mindfulness teacher. We had tapes and everything. It was a key thing, especially because I took it in our med school at Penn. Because it's a course that a lot of the doctors take. So I was in a course with a lot of doctors because they need it because their suicide rates are so high. So I was in there with them. We were learning how to go about it, how it affects their patients, how it affects them as physicians and everything like that. So I was just taking a class. They let me right into it and they were like, all right, yeah, you could definitely take it. And so I was in the med school taking that class too, but that solidified everything because that's when I learned the different types of meditation and how they affect their body.
Oh, wow.
But before I would do different mindfulness routines, but that one class, my senior year in undergrad, that taught me the most about meditation and mindfulness.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know they even had those courses in there.
I didn't either. And I was just looking, I said, I need one more credit. I was like, please.
Isn't it funny how those one things you add in are sometimes the most profound? Mm-hmm. I did that in college. I took an art appreciation class. I was like, I'm like, easy fucking A. I'm like, just a bullshit credit. I was like, oh my God, this is an awesome class. I'm like, this is totally awesome. I love this. It gave me an appreciation for art. I was like, so you never really know. And that archery. I don't do archery now, but I took this archery class, and it turns out that I was the instructor's like, "You're a natural, Tad." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." I said, "What makes a person good at this?" He said, "Being able to perform the exact same actions time and time again."
Oh, I could do that. Let me just go ahead and do that. That sounds like fun.
I mean, when you pull it back, you got to pull it back exactly the spot, exact same way. Your breathing has to be the same. Everything has to be the same. I'm like, and being so consciously aware of my body at the time. I was a bodybuilder. It just came naturally. I think something, So it's just because, believe it or not, it is not an easy thing to hit those targets from
No.
It's and when you lose an arrow, it goes right into the grass. It's gone. You can't find it. You spend half an hour looking for all your arrows and shit. So I did not want to miss.
Right.
Nope. Does so do you still taking those kind of classes, or you just read books now, or is that what
I do books? But I learned so much that I'm pretty much grounded in the knowledge that I have, and so I'll just do different styles and finding my own spin on mixing everything that I've learned and what fits best in my life. But that's how I learned the food version, because nobody ever taught me that one.
Explain that.
Where I meditate while I eat. No one ever taught me that one.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this until you mentioned it. That's really cool.
And so I developed that technique for myself because I know that's something that I'm going to always do. It's something that I appreciate. It's already something I love. So I mix all the things that I like and need into one instance.
How does is it difficult? How do I word this? Has it been difficult for your boyfriend or your significant others and to negotiate? Because it's not a normal. Because I had
it's not normal
practice. Even my girlfriend who's half Thai, half Chinese, and is very Asian by nature, even though she grew up predominantly in the Chicago area, and she's a doctor. She's a very good doctor, but she doesn't meditate. She doesn't, which I'm like, your dad's like all into meditation, and he lives in Bangkok, but you do nothing. But she can. She's very good at it. But it's a lot of things I do doesn't resonate with her. And there's very Eastern, which is really kind of funny. But but that's a conflict sometimes. So how does that?
He just laughs. He thought it was a joke at the beginning. He laughs. He's like, all right, because he'll know, and all my friends know, especially when it's a cheat meal. Do not talk to me an hour before my meal until I'm done. That is it. Leave me be. Let me enjoy this in my now, because I'm very present when I eat. That's the one time. If there's anything else going on,
is it because
I just love food. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, really? Oh, you're a foodie.
I'm even reading a book about food right now. Like I just love food. I always have. I'm obsessed with it. Like if you look at my baby videos, I'm always with the bottle. Like somebody tries to talk to me, I'll literally snatch the bottle and start eating. And I've noticed, I said, God, I've been this way my whole life. But yeah, so he'll laugh now, and he knows. He'll tell people, if anybody, hey, you better stop talking to her. I would ignore people. I would sit there and ignore people. Like, unless the only time I'll talk is on those 2 days where I'm eating all day long, and I can eat 24/7, literally every minute of those days, then it's fine. It's not that much of an experience. But if I have that one meal, or that I'm in prep and I'm enjoying my meal, leave me alone. That's it. I don't ask for a lot. It's just going to take me about 10 minutes. Okay?
This is my personal time.
This is my time. Exactly. Especially at work. I'm like, oh my God, this is my time.
Where do you work now? Where do you?
Well, I work for myself now, but back when I was working at our International Student Center when I was at USC. And so we were always, every time I eat, this other guy who was working at the USC bank or something like that, he would come in the room and want to have this drawn out conversation. And
you're like, dude.
Oh my God, please.
You're like, dude, when there's a meal in front of me, it's like church.
Exactly. But then the funny thing is, they'll not pick up, once again, they don't read body language, because I'm still not going to talk to you. You can talk at me because you're talking at me. You're not going to get a response. Right. And I'm just going to look at you and continue eating my food. And so now you're going to feel awkward, okay? Because I'm going to eat my food. And you're just going to annoy me. That's all I know. So that's it.
So now how are you going to negotiate your career in the public relations and with competing? Are you going to be able to do that? Because that's hard for a lot of people. It's hard.
I can. Freelancing for a while. I want to really focus on my competitions while having the ability to work on the outside of that for like the next 5 years. Then after that, that's when I'll think about going into corporate America. Everybody's telling me I probably won't want to do that, but yeah.
But you never know. You never know. I think it's smart just to let things flow the way they're going to flow.
That's
you don't have to have all the answers.
Exactly. That's what I've learned. And that's what got me back into school, because originally I was like, oh no, if I don't go back straight to school after undergrad, I'm not going to go back.
That's not true.
Exactly.
I may go back. I may go back and get my PhD in peace studies or more specifically in behavioral sciences, because I really
do behavioral sciences.
I just have that love for this, man. Like when I remember being in college and undergrad, and I took all these psychology courses because it was like, I needed just something, but it was like an option. But I just took them because they sounded interesting, and I smoked them, man. They were so easy. I never studied, and the guy's like, "You need to do some graduate work in this." I said, "Well, I got this other stuff. I'm studying nutrition. I'm studying this other, but I didn't want to get a degree in that. I actually ended up getting degrees in philosophy,
and
ethics and stuff, because I was interested in that. But when I look at it now, I was really interested in it because of behavior. Yep. I'm really sort of interested. I'm like, human behavior. This is what I'm interested in, because I want to manipulate my own behavior. I want to understand my own behavior, and I work with it. And so, as you know, like when you work with somebody, you're trying to get them to change behaviors, and they fight themselves.
Yep.
And they don't.
I was a psychology major.
Yeah. Oh, you were?
I was a psychology major in undergrad. Yep. I originally was going to do cognitive science, but then.
Oh man.
They tossed computer programming at me, and I was wait a minute.
You're like,
hard pass on that. I didn't sign up for that. And I told my advisor, he was like, yes, and I thought I had mentioned that you might want to have a love for computer programming and linguistics.
Why?
I said,
how are they tying it together?
That was a part of our program. So Psych at Penn was a whole nother level. We were learning the same classes as everybody who was pre-med. We had neuroscience. We had all of our requirements. I literally was about to pull my hair out. Stressed. I was stressed. I was like, and I told my mom, I said, Lord, let me just make it through. Let me make it. When I got that piece of paper, I said, praise it. Stressed. That's why everybody's like, how is the master's program? I was like 10 times easier than undergrad. Undergrad tried to kill me. It really did, quite honestly. Like that with track and 2 jobs and competing, I was like, listen, I need a break. And that's why I took a 3-year break. And then I went back. I was like, I need a break because that was too much. That was, when I look back, I was like, that was really too much.
Now, when you won your Olympia the first time, did anybody at school, were they involved? Did they know this? Did you encounter any interesting stories about like people? Oh yeah, I saw you in the magazines, or I saw you on this, or you won this, or I know that. I'm just curious,
Funniest thing is when I come back. I come back to classes. My Monday class is my writing class. I come back and literally they're all in the hallway. Hey, we saw you on Snapchat. So freaking cool. You were the rock. I'm literally like, because I don't have a Snapchat. So I was like,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm literally such the opposite of a millennial. I'm literally just like,
good for you.
What social media? I have my Facebook that I check sometimes, Instagram that I'm forced to check, and that's it. And other than that, I literally get on that for an hour. I set my timer to an hour a day. That's it. And I'm off 2 days a week. Thursdays, no Instagram. Haven't looked at the feed in I don't know long. Sundays, definitely no Instagram, social media, nothing. Leave me alone.
I know my girlfriend and I have to live on it a little bit because I work this stuff and this is my business.
I know.
But I give myself like usually, and just so people know, like Sundays I usually don't do much at all, and on Saturdays I just do a couple things. But even when I'm working, I am not a scroller.
Yes, that's the key. Don't scroll.
I just don't do
work
it.
And get off.
I'm like, I do my work and then I respond to the messages and I interact with that. But then I don't scroll, man. And my girlfriend's always like, you didn't like my picture? I'm like, I don't see your pictures. I said, I don't get on social media to look at stuff like that. That's not why I do it. It's marketing for me.
Yes, and that's my new thing is I'll get on for like my sponsors and everything like that. I'll do my job.
Right.
And then I get off. I respond to my responses, get off. That's it. No, I don't sit there. If it takes longer than 5 minutes, that's enough.
Hey man, I start to like get worried, man. I'm like, if you're scrolling, Tad, I'm like, fuck, what the fuck is this on? Dude, it's a time suck. It just sucks. It's like it's gone. It's gone. Like,
and you can spend that relaxing instead of looking at what the next person is doing.
I can spend that reading some more of my book, man.
Exactly. But that's my new thing because I always get off the week before a show, and so I was like, let's just every prep. I'm like, what can I do differently this year? So this year I was like, all right, let's do 2 days of no social media for every single week going into the show.
How did you come up with that? Was that just something you came up with?
Just randomly.
Oh, it's a smart technique. It's a smart technique. It's a smart technique.
Because I was like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, like how is this adding value to my life?
It's doing nothing for me because I only get on social media to either it needs to be looking at food or somebody's telling me a joke. I don't care what your 6-pack looks like. I don't care what your workout looks like. If it's not a joke or food, I don't care. I don't care. That's not what I want to see. That's not what I'm here for. So once I start seeing a whole bunch of bodies, I'm like, all right, I gotta go.
Well, it's the same stuff all the time, seems like to me.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's, like I'll go and I'll look at particular people's profiles because I want to see what their progress pictures are like because I might be reporting on them or I might be.
Right. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Or if I'm going to interview them, I go look at their thing and see, what's going on. Although I must admit, I did not look at yours because I wanted it to be a very warm.
Nothing's on there. You're fine.
I just wanted it to be an organic conversation. But which is why I didn't know you were doing the Arnold. I actually assumed that you weren't going to do it just simply because
a lot of people did.
Yeah, and so I just assumed you didn't because a lot of the champions from the Olympia don't usually do the Arnold. It would be like you're competing all year round.
I never won it.
I know. But in my mind,
yeah. I was like, no, because the thing is too, and y'all, you know me by now. Listen, if there's a record, I'm coming for it.
Right.
That's forever my goal. Whatever the record is, I gotta beat it before I retire.
That's good. I think that's good. So other than like bodybuilding, fitness, stuff like that, what other kind of cool goals do you have that you're excited about?
I'm excited to go ahead and start. I did open up my public relations company, so it's my own company.
What's it called?
So that way I freelance under that. It's Cydney Gillon and Associates.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that way I can hire freelancers to freelance under me freelancing. And that's what I'll do. half of the work. So I just pay them from the person's budget. But so that's what I'm really excited about. What's really getting dabbling into that. But I've also, the main thing now, because PR is all about relationships. So since I just moved back to Georgia, now my whole focus has to be on meeting every public relations practitioner in Atlanta. Because that's how you're going to get those jobs. That's how you're going to be on CNN. Granted, my teacher, she was going to, I need to call her. Whoops. Because she really wants me to be on TV. She's like, Cydney, please, I'm really excited about this. My friend works at CNN and da-da-da-da. I'm like, listen, that sounds great. I'm here for it. I would love to be on CNN every day and just show up like, awesome. Hey, I'm going to be a consultant.
Well, what does that mean? Like when public relations people are consultants for like things like CNN, so like, what would you do? Like what kind of things would be done? I don't know much about it.
It could be a lot of different things. She just wants me to be on the camera in some way, form, or fashion, because a lot of the times, it's who you know.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to know what you're talking about. As long as you know what's supposed to be said, you can end up being an anchor. You don't necessarily have to go to school to be an anchor, but if you're in the school of communications, communication is communication. So you just navigate your way. I go where my teachers tell me to go because they have all the connections. So I just ride the wave.
You're playing the game, not letting the game play you.
That's exactly right. Because the thing is, I can learn any and everything. So if there's a position that needs to be filled, I'll learn it. I'll perfect it because I'm a perfectionist. So whatever needs to be perfected, I'll do it. I
think that maybe it would get, my guess would be, and you tell me what you think, but I think your career in the bodybuilding fitness industry should be able to fuel and help accelerate some of the things you might want to do, because it does give you a very large audience who knows who you are and who's seen your accomplishments, but also you're sort of in the spotlight. So how do you feel about that kind of stuff?
It took a while to get used to, because I was I still am. I'm very low key. I don't like to be flashy. I don't even work out in sports bras or shorts. You will not see me uncovered unless it's literally right after a show or on stage. Other than that, I'm in a sweatshirt. Like, I just don't, that's not my thing. It's just, first of all, I'm a germaphobe too. So it's just like, your skin is out here touching everybody else's skin. That's just nasty. Like, I just don't want to do that. But it's just, I've just always been in the habit of just being covered when I'm outdoors. Like, if I'm in my house, okay, it's my house. But when I go outdoors, like even at track, I never wore shorts until at the meet.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's it. Never at practice, anything like that. I just don't. I don't know.
One of the things that I like, and I'll mention it because what I appreciate about your presence, when I've seen you on social media or I've seen you in pictures, stuff like that, when you're not on stage, because when you're on stage and you're at a show, you're done up, you have makeup, you look great, and that's beautiful. But then you don't wear makeup and stuff in some of your pictures, and I think that's awesome. I'm like, I really do. It tells me a lot about how comfortable you are in your own skin.
Thank you. I don't wear makeup at all because I can't do it. It's just a lot of work.
It's a ton of work.
How do y'all sit here all day? I can't.
Oh my God.
I also just don't care.
That's good. Like, because I think, I'll walk out of the house. Like, I used to care more than I do now. Like, but this is what I wear to the gym. Okay. I got sweatshirt. I got these baggy sweats. I like looking nice sometimes, but if you don't like me the way I am, I'm sorry. Don't look.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I love about, like, even my sponsorships is everybody who aligns with me knows exactly who I am, because what I post is me. I'm not about to give you any pretenses. When I post and I have my headscarf on, that's what you're getting, okay? I work out in my headscarf. I'm not going to take my headscarf off because I'm shooting a video.
Have you gotten criticized for that? Have you gotten criticized?
Nope.
No?
Never.
Okay, good. Because I think when I was reading this thing about social media and that's really, especially on millennials, it's very specifically millennials. The women, it's very hard on them. It's not so hard on the men. It seems like they said that what it produces in the young girls as they get into adulthood is depression and anxiety, specifically depression. They're big, more cutters, more self-mutilation, stuff like that. It's because of this. It's all the self-comparison. They're scrolling, comparing themselves to all these other ladies, and of course, as we both just identified, that isn't even really them. So, and even if it were, it don't matter. It's not you. It don't matter.
Exactly.
It's like, but what it's producing. So it certainly didn't produce that in you but you also don't approach social media the way that most other.
And I didn't grow up with it. That's the key thing too. And that praise it. I didn't get an Instagram until I got my pro card.
Oh, really?
I was super behind the ball. I was like, what is Instagram? I'm not posting pictures. Like,
Well,
I'm like 80 at heart. I'm like, why? What is that?
I know these days I do make a point when I talk to some of my athletes, especially my pros and stuff. I say, look, you kind of have to be present on social media. You don't have to live on it, but you have to be present. You have to, because you're going to be, you can't be unknown going in to a show, and the big shows. It doesn't work like that anymore. Like you used to be able to, but now you really can't. There's too much momentum that's generated through social media, oftentimes. But you don't. But I think but I think we need a healthy balance.
Yes, definitely a healthy balance.
Yeah, but that's hard. Balance is not something that I think that champions really get, because and you can't. To be a champion, you can't be balanced. You got to like you said, you got to put your foot on the throttle, man, and you got to say, look, this is what I'm focused on. So do you find that that's difficult for you to manage?
Because I'm really good at my time management. So when it comes to and I think the new setting on my phone really helps with that too, because
they tell you screen time now.
Yes.
I was like,
so to tell you the screen time, and it'll be like, because I set it for an hour, it will not let me be on social media of any sort after an hour. So whatever needs to be done, that means you have no time to scroll, because the time you do all the messages. Exactly. You do your post, you proofread everything ahead of time, post your post, reply to everybody, and you're off. Your hour is gone at that point, and then you're on to your regular life. But I think
go ahead.
That's the key thing that I've learned, is just really managing your time. Like, I'll pencil out time just to respond to people, and I find that I had to get used to that, because I always respond to people, but when it becomes a whole bunch of people, then you really have to manage your time, and so I've gotten really good with that, because that's been the most rewarding part, I will say, because I've met so many amazing people through Instagram.
Oh, I know.
Like, who just have like real questions, like they well, I think it's because it's also who your followers are. That's a really distinct thing, because you don't see booty pics, boob pics, whole bunch of nudes, anything like that on my profile. So my audience is there for me and knowledge. That's it. So when they speak to me, that's all I get. I don't get all the extra stuff I see on other people's pages. I'm looking like, oh, that sounds miserable. I couldn't deal with that. So when they come to you with a question, they literally are asking you for help, which I don't mind doing that. I can do that all day. So that's the part that I enjoy, because I met so many nice people who legitimately just want help. And like, so I'm like, or help or a listening ear. I can do that. That's fun. That's fun for me. But I had to find the happy place in social media, because I'm not a social media person. So I had to, like, how is this going to make me happy?
So now I'm curious. So like, when it comes to social media, what do they talk about when you're in graduate school, when it comes to PR? Did they have that as, I mean, how did they marry this, right? Like, it's got to be a part of it, right? Because it's such a powerful part of our
huge piece.
Yeah, it's such a big part of marketing.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge piece. And a lot of my program I use basically geared around me. It's a lot about branding and knowing what you're standing for. So when it comes to, for instance, like my brand, I wanted to make sure that it's me.
Right.
And it's something that I can maintain. I can maintain who I am. Therefore, I can't add anything else that isn't me. So I'm very conscious of that when I go into anything I post.
So like, what do you mean by if it's not you? Give me.
So like you said, makeup all the time. That's not me. Hair done all the time. That's not me.
Right.
Different things like that. That's not me. Booty pics. That's not me. These things there are things that I do not do, so therefore it'll never be associated with my brand.
I like that.
So it's basically about setting boundaries.
That's very conscientious of you, because inadvertently I tried to do this, but I wouldn't have said it like that, because I try to appeal to my audience, but I'm not provocative. I'm not a ranter. I don't rant. I only believe in positive stuff. But I do find that the way I always said it, and tell me how you see this, the way I always used to say it was, I want everything that I post, if I make a statement, or or even just a picture that because it's going to represent me to a certain degree, I want it to be authentic to me. And one of the most common comments that I get when I go to a show or go to an expo, and people will be, oh yeah, I want to take a picture, or they'll shake my hand, they'll say, I've been following you for a long time, and they'll go, wow, you're just like you are on social media. I'm like,
That's exactly right.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, well, I try to be really authentic. You know, I don't want to, and that's why people come to me. I just actually talked to a company. They wanted me to represent their stuff and post their stuff. I said, look, I don't accept money to do that. I don't, because I don't care about, so if I have a discount code or something, I'm not getting paid for it. It's for the benefit of my followers. I said, so usually all I ask for is, I only want the stuff that I use. Just give me this as much as the stuff as I want that I use, and I will be honest about my critique of it, and I will put it out there and tell people about it. That's what I do. Now, so I tried to do that. So it sounds like that's kind of what you're saying that you kind of do.
Yeah, very, very much. So especially when it comes to supplements. I just got a supplement sponsor, so I'm real clear. I take these supplements.
Okay.
So if you're going to ask me about it, and I'll straight up tell them, have you taken this? Nope, I haven't taken it. I can't tell you anything about it. Love the company, though. I don't know anything about that one. I said, I take A, B, C, and D. This is what I like about it. That's it. But I'm not that way, because that has boosted just my sales alone, because people know I'm not lying to them. I'm not going to tell you to take something.
That's why I wanted to be authentic. Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be authentic, because once people don't trust you, like, what can you...
It's over.
Yeah, and that's to me, I relate that to character. So, I want my character is flawless. I do not say things I don't do. I want to be honest. It's part of how I grew up. You know, it was my family was sort of very sort of Southern Christian, sort of like, you know, down home kind of place. And those were core values. Even though today I don't really claim to be very religious, I'm not really religious, but I'm a very spiritual person from a certain standpoint, and I'm very conscientious of my own particular brand of morality, which is really centers around spreading love and joy. Period. Okay, in the most authentic, honest way that I can. And so I want good for everybody. Yep. And I will not cast judgment. I am sorry, it is not my job. Yep. So, and I want that to come across in my social media, but I find that, like you, I never thought about it until you said this. I find that my audience is different. So, and I like that. It's like, I don't,
me too.
I do get, I don't get like naked pictures of
right. Yeah, I don't get any of those.
but I do get maybe I got like one or two in the past over the years, but it was just I didn't know these people, of course, but it's usually like people who are either like me, you know what I mean? I think that resonate with me, or who my message is touching, you know, and I like that. Like, I don't think you need you don't, and you don't need to appeal to everybody. I don't want to appeal.
Yes. And the thing I'm really conscious of is, because of all the things that I've done, my audience it spans wider than a lot of other people. So for me, I have 10-year-old girls on my page. Like, I can't be posting F-bombs. I don't curse on social media. I'm very conscious of that, because through Survivor, like, I have a lot of little girls and their moms who follow me. I can't do that. That looks crazy. Like, no. And so I'm very, very conscious of what I'm posting, because of that simple fact. Like, these little girls are looking at me, and I know they are, because I've been told.
Now, when you're 34 and you decide to have a child, do you envision a boy or a girl?
Oof.
Just curious, because I wanted a girl. I'll be honest, and I got my girl.
I do think I want a girl, because in this social climate, I would prefer not to have to deal with as many issues for a young black male. That's too much stress for me. I just don't. I don't want.
So, what would you tell her then? Just thinking ahead. Let's just pretend social media continues its same sort of track. What would you tell her? How would you direct her with social media in this kind of climate?
One, she wouldn't have one. We're going to start with that. Until I am sure that she's setting herself, like, years and years and years of grooming straight out the womb.
I think that's smart.
You're beautiful. You're smart. Well, no. Let's change that order. You're smart. You're beautiful. You're strong. You're powerful by yourself.
Right.
And I would do years and years and years of that. From what? By the time she would get an Instagram, it'd be like, what do they have in, like, elementary school now? That's too young. I would say she could have one by middle school, maybe, because that's when it gets a little funky. And she'd probably have one anyway without me even knowing she had one.
You're better if you know.
Exactly. But that first decade will be spent on drilling it.
Yeah. It's so hard. my daughter, she's going to turn 10 this summer, and I've taken a lot of effort because her mother is very different. She's just different. I love her to death, but she's different when it comes to how her ideas about parenting, which are good, but they're just, I focus on that emotional side and that side of well-being. But I have 2 messages. One, I love you, and that never changes. You're worthy of that. 2, you're destined for greatness. You have to believe it. It's like, and so I want her to know these things. I want her to know these things without complete faith, because I've always felt that as a base, that was what I grew up with. My mother told me those 2 things every day. Every day I went to bed, she tucked me and said, "Dad, do you know how much I love you? Do you know that you're destined for greatness?" And I knew my mom, man. My mom was my God. Like, she was like everything. So I was like, so I believed her, you know. So and when I would go to school and people would do stuff that I knew was wrong, that I was not supposed to do, and they were like, "Hey, come on, like, Dad, come on." I was like, "Nope, I don't need to do that." And I didn't have any peer pressure. I felt 0 peer pressure because I had this basis in love. I had this basis that I didn't have to be a part of another group. I had my group. My group is good. It's me. And so that's tough these days. I see it already because she's already, at times she wants to sort of try to be like some of her friends or something, or sometimes it's not super heavy yet, because I can see, she tells me, I was so proud. She told me, "Daddy," she says, "I just wanted you to know how I feel so lucky that you're my daddy." I was like, "Oh man, you're gonna make me cry." Just because you always spend time with me and you always talk to me, and I said, "Well, doesn't your friends' daddies do that?" And she says, "No." And I was like, "Man, that's sad." I was like,
that starts a lot of the issues right there.
Yeah, I know. It's like, you got to, being a parent is more than just giving birth, being more than just giving your sperm. It's like, it's contributing to this young person who needs your guidance. And I think it's really important. Now, they're going to make it no matter what. It's just how they end up making it. Like,
I prefer them be as stress-free as possible. By the time they start living life like Dawn, let them be a kid for a second these days. Dawn.
Are you tight with your dad?
I'm a mama's girl.
Okay.
Me and my mama like this.
Oh, good.
Anywhere I am, she is. She didn't miss a show until Australia, like 3 years ago. That's the only one she's ever missed. Like, she was devastated. She doesn't miss shows. And I've been competing for 13 years. She's never missed one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she's that. Yeah, no, she doesn't.
Oh, that's cool.
No, that's my mama.
Do you have a big family?
No, it's just me, my mom, my dad, my sister.
Oh,
we have a lot of like surrogate brothers and sisters.
And they're all there. They're all there in that Georgia, right?
Yes. They're all
that's nice. That's nice. Now, well, I know I'm at hour 48. I don't want to take any more of your time. I know that you're busy, and I don't want to bite into your schedule. You're probably tight on your schedule.
I am.
But thank you so much, Cydney. Where can people can reach you on your social, on your Instagram account? Give everybody. You came up with this interesting moniker. Tell me where that comes from, because I was like, every time I'm like, vitamin C. Like, how does this work? Tell me about this. How did this come about?
So random. It was like right after I got my pro card at Nationals in 2012, and I was like, I gotta come up with a name. And so I was like, what goes with C? And I was like, vitamin C. So I typed it in. Somebody already had it, and I was like, boo. And so I was like, okay, just change the I to a Y, and then I got it.
Oh, really?
And my friend was like, "That's so corny," and I was like, "Well, I'm putting it anyway," and then everybody loves it.
Well, here's a side note. Do you know who Linus Pauling is?
No.
So Linus Pauling won a Nobel Prize in biochemistry for much of his work in vitamin C. He actually went to his alma mater is mine. By Oregon State University. So I went to Oregon State in my undergraduate, and I loved his research because I used to manage a vitamin store for about 5-6 years when I was in college, and I believed in his research. He was the first person to say vitamin C is healthy for you. It's anti-carcinogen. It'll help you boost your immune system, and he believed in megadosing. So I megadosed vitamin C for over 25 years. I take 6 to 8 grams a day for 25 years. I've gotten sick probably 6-7 times in the last 25 years. So like, I really just don't get sick, but I don't attribute it all to that. I actually attribute it to my smile. I think when you smile and you're happy, it's good. Like when you have a good vibration, man, your cells work good. You don't have to believe me, but miserable people are sicker more.
That's true. That is true.
So, so it's kind of funny that your little moniker is vitamin C, because the first thing that popped in my head was, oh man, like, because he ended up giving his Nobel Prize, because he died at 90 something years old. A couple years later, and he gave his wife, donated that Nobel Prize to Oregon State University that hangs in one of the halls, which is pretty cool. So it's just kind of a funny story.
That is cool.
I was always curious about that, but all right, well,
yeah, I wanted something health related. I was like, yeah, that works out, and I take a lot of vitamin C too. So yeah.
So now you'll be at the Arnold.
Yes.
And you're competing.
Yes, I am.
And then after that, you're just going to take the time to the Olympia.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Sit it on down.
Well, good luck at the Arnold. I don't think I need to wish you good luck. I think it's going to be a great show for you. And you feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Ready to get on there and eat some pizza.
Well, I will definitely see you there. I'll see you backstage. I'll see you there. I'll say hi. We'll take a picture. I always love taking pictures with you. And then hang on. When I stop the recording, hang on for just 2 seconds before we leave. But thank you so much for being on the show. And after you win Olympia again, then I'll have you on again and we'll talk about that.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Handle your high with Tadayoshi.